So how's your Wednesday working for you today?
Oh, pretty good. Not raining, so that's a good thing.
It's raining?
It's not raining, so
Oh,
that's a
yeah,
good thing.
yes. Seattle's good for that.
Yeah, it's been sunny lately, so yeah, it's going pretty good. Just been playing a little guitar, working on some new stuff.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we do have our levels, and a little bit of background about myself. I've been doing online radio since MySpace back in 2003.
Oh wow.
Um, the Rocken Buddha ID logo, whatever, was given to me by Dave Manichetti of Y&T.
Oh,
I
okay.
used to be a tour brat. My father worked for Bill Graham Promotes and Presents
Oh wow.
from 65 until his death, and when my father died. But Bill Graham brought me up in the FM world, and
Oh wow.
when online happened, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a lot more for music doing it this way because now FM is broadcasting towards the world. So
Yeah, that's
it's just a
cool.
little bit about me and what I do as far as radio. We are recording this so I can have historic documents and all that stuff, and then I'll give you a transcript and an audio cut for this if you choose.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to post it, and I'm getting ready to update my website, do a couple updates on there, and then I can have a section on there with some interviews. I did one a couple weeks ago, and then I did one last night, which was really cool. With Stu Block and I did an interview for a guy. Actually, Stu was available to do that, which was pretty cool. And so yeah, I'm going to be having these posted on my site, and any interview I do, I'll share it on Facebook and mention who I did it for and whatnot. So yeah, I'd totally love to have a copy or however that works once it's all done and edited. When do you think you'll be posting the interview?
Well, after I get done chopping off all the little bits and pieces of our conversation to make it more cohesive, I'd probably
Okay.
about a week. I'll have something to you for a couple of 3 days.
Perfect.
Excellent. So, we're going to get right into this because I know your time is extremely valuable. I'm looking at the Beltfed website right now, and we got Frank Hetzel, who is currently on the phone. You have Jeff Loomis, Craig Lum, Tim Amar, Steve Tucker, JD DeServo, Jason Vinbrooks, Dega Selzna, and Brian Newberry. And you also mentioned Stu Block on vocals. How is it in the nowadays with internet technology being so prevalent to not have all the members inside the studio doing like we used to do back in the day?
No, it's just actually pretty easy because everybody involved. I started out recording guitars, and then from there it went to the drummer Brian Newberry, and he went into a studio, or actually his engineer came to him, mic'd him up at his house, and tracked him at his house, and then takes the tracks back, and then does his editing a little bit, and takes care of that, and then from that point we got the guitars and the drums, and then that mix goes to the vocals, and then once the vocals are done, then it gets bounced over to the bass player, or I think sometimes it went to the bass player first, then the vocals. But anyways, it just goes down the line until everything's tracked, and then it goes to the engineer. And Juan Ortega did the mixing and mastering on all of Dark and Demise, and then the last single that I just put out, Tortured Within. So yeah, it's a pretty easy process. It's just a little time consuming with getting different people involved that are in other music projects and bands, as they're kind of busy. So, but yeah, it was very smooth, especially when everybody's got their shit together and they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Music hasn't changed much as far as getting the shit together.
No, yeah.
But in comparison to old recordings, like before the internet, Do you find it more challenging to write all the music pretty much before without collaboration, or is it easier on your part as a songwriter to just throw it out there, and then whoever's got the talent within your pool comes to the table?
I feel it's easier for me to write the songs out and structure them out. Because I just do everything at home. I just demo everything out with programmed drums, and then once I get the music structured, then I'm good to go. Then I just go into a real studio from there and track the guitars. As far as co-writing, not too many people have ever co-written with Beltfed. Only one person actually has, and that's Dagna Celestia, a good friend of mine. Her and I co-wrote Head First into Hell, but how that went was she had like 3 riffs in the song, and I took those 3 riffs, and then I added some of my riffs to it. Like, I think I added the intro riff, she wrote the verse riff, and she wrote the chorus riff, and one part of the solo section, and I just added what I was hearing to her riffs, and then I structured it out from there. And it's a pretty easy process. Back in the day, I used to structure with a drummer. When I first was doing Beltfed Weapon way back in the day with the first drummer, we'd sit down in the band room and sit there and structure the music out together, which is fun to do too. I would prefer to do it that way, but unfortunately, I don't have that situation going. And Brian lives in Canada, so we're not able to do that.
Yeah, about that. We were discussing that about because my radio station Unityxradio.ca goes to these Western Alliance festivals that are metal, and there's 6 of them within the local Alberta, BC region. And you were saying that Canada won't open the doors to you. Is there any reason for that, or do we want to keep that on the down low?
Yeah, there is a reason. There's a little legal issue going on there that won't allow me into Canada.
Well. But you did mention that your grandparents were Canadian. Would that be Indigenous?
Yeah, my grandfather was a Canadian. My grandmother and my mother was born in Canada. So I'm actually in the process of going and filing for a Canadian citizenship to get access, because that's really the easiest way for me to be able to do so, which will give me a dual citizenship.
Oh, man, that would open up a whole lot of metal festivals for you, sir. Oh my goodness.
That's something that needs to happen, and especially now working with Brian and Stu and those guys being up there, and I think that's something that's in the works now, and
we can definitely hook you up with some of the biggest festivals here in Canada if that ever becomes a true fact that you got that access back. That would be so delicious. Beltfed Weapon all the way through Canada on a world tour.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I'd love to. I really want to get set up to where we become more of a festival band situation. As you know, everybody you see involved, they're in bands that are touring regularly, and that's their bread and butter, and they're committed to those things, those projects. So we're not going to be able to do a whole lot of stuff with this lineup. And I've talked to everybody. They're all down to do some shows. If they're available, they have no problem doing that, which is really good. So I just got to be able to be in a position where I can schedule things in advance and find an opportunity, and then go to these guys, hey, man, 5 months from now, there's this festival opportunity, whatnot. And maybe, somewhere along the line, I can get a label to take interest in what I have going on, and at least, get the funding for recordings. And I can focus more investing on the live stuff. Yeah.
Well, this radio station has been in operation for 22 years, and before that, I used to work for FM. So
nice.
I got a lot of connections that I'm going to start throwing out my paddles for, because this band has an impeccable lineup to start with. Singing, songwriting, the guitars are just on point. And
Thank you.
when I listen to your music, my favorite so far, oh, I'm doing two things at once. Tortured
Can I guess
Within,
what?
Tortured
Oh,
Within
nice.
with Stu Block. He hits those iced earth aged vocal. He's at the top of his range. And
Yeah.
what did you think about that when you were doing the guitar works with him?
Well, for Tortured Within?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had no idea what he was going to do when I wrote the music. So that's usually how I end up. I write all the music first, and then it goes to everybody else. But I had an idea in mind of what I wanted, and it's funny that Stu actually did exactly pretty much what I was hearing in my head. Because I had actually sat down at one point in time and messed around with some vocal melodies and just jotted down some words just to come up with a little vocal pattern going on, just goofing around in my studio. And when Stu was getting ready to record that song, like a few days before he went in, he's like, "Hey, I'm going in this weekend to record, and you got lyrics?" And I go, "Oh, no, I haven't written any lyrics." And I thought you would be interested in that. He's like, "No, yeah, I don't really have those." And I'm like, "Well, tell you what, give me a couple days. Let me see what I can stir up." So I sat down and kind of went back to the words that I had going on when I was just goofing around a few months prior, and just kind of grabbed from there, and then built upon that, and it actually turned out really good. And then I just kind of jotted down kind of what I was kind of hearing for verse, chorus kind of thing, and he ended up kind of switching some things around a little bit, which I totally gave him the freedom to do that. And I'm like, "Hey, here's some words. I mean, you're a professional vocalist, and this is what you do. So feel free to do what you want with these words. You can add to it, take away, build off of it, whatever you want to do." And yeah, he did a great job, and they turned out pretty good, I think.
Yes. Well, both the songs, that one, Tortured Within, and Darkened Demise, are really smoking up the airwaves here in Canada. A lot of people out in Germany and France and Australia in my listenership are like, "Where is this Beltfed weapon? Where?" And I'm like, well, because I have such a broad musical spectrum here, it plays, and when it's requested, people are just going insane. When are you familiar with Wacken?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that festival very much so.
Well, their current USA auditions, tour, whatever. I bet you could get a very, very nice record sponsorship. You put your name in that. It's a contest, whatever, bands versus bands, however you want to look at it. But the people that are connected to the Wacken are, Nuclear Blast, Wormhole Death. These agencies are booting through the Germany circuit and the European circuit, and a lot of Canadian metal bands up here are starting to go through the Europe circuit vis-a-vis airplay on the radio. Just a suggestion.
Oh, wow.
I know it's hard to find the lineup and the guys, but if you could ever solidify the touring group, I'm very, very well certain that every request that you've just thrown out as far as record goes would happen.
That would be really cool. And I believe in what I got going on, too, especially how things have progressed since I started Darkened Demise, and then now this single with Stu on it, Tortured Within. And, oh, my God, to play Wacken open air would be an absolute dream come true. And another one that I really would like to play one day is 70,000 Tons of Metal.
Well, geez. I also have friends in that one, too, as well. I've been advertising and promoting 70,000 Tons of Metal for 10 years.
Oh, very cool. So yeah, I'm just kind of regrouping right now and re-putting a few things together and starting to work on some new material ideas. And my goal is to put together a full-length record. That's going to take a little bit of time.
Oh, of course.
Because I do construction and I get into some overtime situations at times. So, but
still working the blue collar job. Still working the blue collar job
Yeah.
as the awesome metal guitarist that you are?
Thank you. I appreciate it. What happens is I kind of take breaks from playing music when I work so much, and then I get on a job, and once it's over, I take time off, and I wipe the cobwebs off, and start playing again and get my chops back, and then I start working on new material. And I'm currently taking some lessons from a couple high-profile players, trying to up my skill level a little bit so I could create better riffs to also end up creating better songs. So a full-length record is going to happen one way or another, whether I get a label or not. I will make this happen. It's just going to take a little bit of time. In the meantime, I will probably be releasing a single here and there, probably at least one single a year up to that point. And it's just, everything takes time because, like I said, if I could just sit around and just crank out 10 songs in like 6 months, go in and record them, and I could have an album done in a year. But unfortunately, it's not. I'm not able to do that because it costs money to live. I got bills to pay, I got rent to pay, and all that good stuff.
So the journey of music hasn't really changed much.
No, and I do this for fun. It is a hobby, but I would like to make it a semi-career, or one day actually be doing it full time. But whatever happens. I'm not like, I'm just going to roll with it and work with what I have. And the biggest thing is enjoy it and have fun playing with the guys that I do and creating great music. And it's an honor for me to have guys on this level that like my music enough to want to be involved. Even though I do pay them a little bit, but they don't charge me an arm and a leg. They're very fair with with their fees, and it's super reasonable. And they all like it. They think, man, this is very cool. I've gotten compliments from everybody like, wow, these are cool songs. No one's ever said, hey, I don't really like this arrangement you got going on. Can we switch this and switch that? And yeah, no vocalist has ever like wanted to like switch anything around. I'm open to some ideas during the writing process of that, but yeah, I just always seem to just do a pretty decent job myself with structuring. I think I'm fairly decent at that, and just want to get better at that as well, writing better riffs and creating better songs.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. 4th album in, okay, or third album plus a few. But
thank you. I appreciate that.
For me. I also do this as a side gig hobby, more so to promote music because of the internet. I mean, I'm like, I got tons. I got Mexico, Australia, all these bands, metal, that are just like you. They go 9 to 5 blue collar. They come home, they throw down their music and whatnot. And the journey is not a race. It's a journey of music. I mean, it's a story. You're telling a story of your life through your guitar, through your songwriting. So if you haven't experienced that, then how can you possibly throw it to a song?
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, I do. I have a feeling inside me when I sit down and play and create riffs, and sometimes riffs just come out of nowhere. It's like, I don't know, where did that come from? I had no idea I would come up with that particular riff. And it's like, ooh, once I get one good riff, I'm like, ooh, there we go. There's a song right there. And
do we have the Dimebag Darrell inspirational moments?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. What an amazing guitar player he is.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't know. I just do what I do, and I don't know where some of my stuff comes from. I just start jamming out, and once in a while I'll come up with some really cool stuff. There's other times where I'll be like, I can't come up with anything to save my life. I've been going through that for like the last month, trying to come up with riffs. I can't come up with anything, and then it's challenging to not rip myself off or rip anybody else off.
Yeah,
to create something that's original. And everything's been done, but I just try to take my influences and do them my own way.
Excellent. Because music right there in and itself, it's already structured. It's where you got to find the differences in what you're feeling through that musical instrument at that moment, and make it original to yourself.
Exactly, yeah, and it's cool because if you notice with Beltfed Weapon, the music, the guitar riffs, there's a lot of different styles of music in there. There's the thrash metal, the speed metal, the death metal, a little bit of the power metal. Like Eternal Fire is a good example of that. That was my attempt to write, I guess you could say, a progressive metal song, and it kind of worked, I guess. But that seems to be the one that most people like. Seems like they like the most. That's had the most views on YouTube, Eternal Fire. And it's such a great song. And the best thing about that particular song is, well, it's a very sad situation. That Tim Amir, passed away before that EP came out, but that was the last song that he recorded before he passed away. And so that makes that song extremely special. Ooh. And it's cool that that's had the most views. So that's the most special Beltfed Weapon song ever, in my opinion.
Well, there you go. That's that. And having that kind of passion towards a song and having such deep meaning. I'm sure once I start spinning that song specifically with my little, live backing to it with the little storyboard that we just went through, I'm very sure that song is going to take off like wildfire.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And there is a concept to that there was some meaning behind the concept of that as well. But that's another subject. Yeah, it's really cool to work with such great musicians, and yeah, rest in peace, Tim. And what an honor to work with him. Control Denied is one of my all-time favorite albums, so it's an absolute honor to have had the opportunity to work with him. And yeah, I wish he was still here today, but we all do end up going at some point in time, and it was sad.
And it's not really a sad moment because he is forever immortalized in a musical song and his musical career. So
yeah,
that right there, we all have friends that pass. We all have musical buddies that pass for sure.
Yeah.
If there was one alive or dead, iconic member of a band that you would want to sit down to either have a conversation with or play music with, who would that be?
Oh, well, if I was going to dream big, actually was kind of asked this question last night. Before I say this, I'm very happy with who I have, and I wouldn't change that for anything. But if I were able to dream big and have an opportunity to work with the most ultimate rhythm section, bass and drums, would be Gene Hoglan and Steve DiGiorgio. It doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion.
Wow.
It only can get a little different, but I have had the opportunity to work with Steve DiGiorgio on the album Reigning Plague, which is very cool. And he did a great job, very easy to work with, and I'm so honored to have that opportunity with him. Super cool dude, and yeah, and he worked with Chuck Schuldiner as well on Control Denied, and to have an opportunity to work with Tim as well, that's pretty special to me. So it's an honor, absolute honor. But yeah, that would be my go-to dream big. If I were to do one last thing before I passed away, is even just one song with Gene and Steve. Well, man, yeah, that would be pretty amazing. But I'm going to keep going with what I got. I'm happy with Brian and Jason and Mike LaPond. And so it's all good. But yeah, if I was going to dream, that would be what it would be.
I mean, not even they're above ground still, and they're current. I mean, out of all the members of music you could have picked, you picked the guys that you're working with currently, which means above and beyond that much respect you have for their music and your music combined. That is such an epic statement, sir, and kudos to that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, those guys are just phenomenal. I mean, and cool guys. I've met Gene before, too, and he's always been really cool to me. And Steve's always been great, too. And yeah, last time I saw them play was Death to All in Seattle, and oh my God, I could not I could not stop watching that set from beginning to end. It was so amazing. Watching Gene play is just like, man, and Steve, it doesn't get any better than that. And the other guys too. I don't know the other two guys' names off the top of my head, but pulling off the vocals the way that guy did to replicate what Chuck did, amazing, yeah, absolutely amazing.
I used to go through Seattle a lot with Bill Graham back in the late 80s and 90s, the touring company. And one of my favorite bands was called Sweaty Nipples. Now.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
Being like prog, being all kinds of metal, I don't know, dicing up the pie again, but your band in Seattle, is it well received as like thrash metal, or is it death metal or prog?
I don't really know. We haven't really played. I haven't played any live shows. The last time I did play was in Seattle. We did like a little three show tour: Everett, Seattle, Tacoma, and I don't know, because I have such different influences in there. It seems to appeal to the death metal guys, like it, and the thrash metal guys like it, because it's got those elements in there, and it's one of those things where, hey, if you don't like this particular song, that's cool. Well, you might like this one over here, and vice versa.
That's what I'm finding out from my listeners too. It's like, because both those songs are playing, and Tortured Within seems to be the one that people are gravitating to a lot more.
I see that too, and
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's because of Stu Block, or if it's like the really, really crunchy riffs in about the middle of the song. It's just like you're really giving her.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is either, but I've noticed that I'm getting a lot of good feedback from Tortured Within too as well. And I think honestly a lot of that might be because when I did Dark and Demise, I stretched five songs out over like almost a 2-year period by releasing each song one at a time. And up till I think I put out 2 songs first, Head First into Hell, and then Dark and Demise. Then the album came out. Then I released the other 3. I believe it went like that. And I think I just created a little bit of momentum because, there's a million bands out there trying to do the same thing. They put out songs, and, it's easy just to hear something and forget about it. But I tried to keep some kind of momentum going to where it's like, oh, hey, here's a new Beltfed song. Let's check this one out. And then, yeah, I think Stu Block may have a little bit to do with it. What he did was phenomenal on the vocals. Is I was able to go back to doing both vocal styles with one singer. I wasn't able to do that with Dark and Demise because he doesn't do the death metal stuff, and Steve, he doesn't really do the clean stuff at all. So, but I still wanted to have both elements in there, so that's how that ended up working out. And my good friend Jason Vibrux from Exorder, he introduced me to Steve Tucker, and said, hey, he might be interested in doing a couple songs. If you want, I'll ask him. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And yeah, he did a great job. Dark and Demise was awesome. I love what he did to that. It's just got so much bite and grit to it. It's raw. It's killer.
Well, there is a little bit of a bonus that's going to be happening, especially with this new music that you're putting out. Because you got Stu Block and you got Brian Newberry, both Canadian artists. I don't know if you've heard of our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. He's a really great dude, not. But anyways, he's trying to block the internet. He's trying to censor the internet, blah, 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 with Facebook, Instagram, and all those social media platforms to make himself look better. Well, what he did in that act is he gave Canadian content 55%. So which means Beltfed Weapon now is shoppable in North America, Central America, and South America because of my radio station's SOCAN and CRTC compliance. So now you can actually take your CD to the local Seattle FMs and demand that they play it because of the fact that you're now being spun on a legal FM styled radio station here in Canada.
Oh, that's cool. Actually, the guys from Seattle, Kevin Deere is the guy that runs KSW Metal Shop. He likes Beltfed Weapon, and he's spun Dark and Demise. They did that a few weeks ago, and that was really cool. And he always spins something whenever I come out with something new, which is awesome, and I thank him gratefully for that. And I'm trying to set up an interview in the next couple of months to go into his station and do something. We've talked about it, but it's been hard for me to actually get in there. Yeah. But I have a new song coming out, and it's going to be out probably by January. I figured, just to be safe to say.
Oh,
and
January 12th is my birthday. You can put it on for January 12th if you want. Sweep.
Nice.
It's sweep.
Yeah, I will keep that in mind. I'm just waiting for the solo is going to get tracked here soon. Cragen's got some stuff going, but he's going to do the solo. Same lineup as Tortured Within, Mike LaPon, Stu Block, Brian Newberry, and Cragen, myself. And then the artwork's being created right now. Once that's done, then I'll get the lyric video made. And this song is completely different than Tortured Within. Ooh. It's very cool. It's more death metal influenced with the music. It's very fast, 220 beats a minute, screaming double bass. And more of a Morbid Angel kind of musical vibe. And Stu actually agreed last night with me. I'm hearing more of a black metal, thrash metal vocal style in it. There's no cleans or high screams or anything, just strictly raw and straightforward. But it's freaking amazing. The chorus is very catchy and very cool. And I'm just going to throw the name of it. The title of that song is called "Rise from Eternal Darkness."
Oh, that sounds like something Gorgyro would throw at you.
So I am so looking forward to putting that out, especially after Tortured Within and the feedback that I'm getting from it. And a lot of friends of mine on Facebook have shared the song, and I'm very thankful to everybody. If you're hearing this, I appreciate you sharing it and helping spread the word. Anybody that helps out with that. It's cool because it costs nothing to support a band by just hitting a share button or a like button 100%. Or whatever. And yeah, it's cool. And I like to share my bands that I like to and do the same thing.
And that's another thing about the internet too. You can really support music a lot more than we used to be able to do back in our day.
Mhm. And what's really cool is people actually still like to buy the physical product. And what's a big seller on my website is the 4 CD bundle. I have the demo, which that music's not available online anywhere except for one song on SoundCloud I put up a long time ago. So all that music, it's raw, and it's the first thing that we ever did back in the day, and it's cool. And then the Peacekeeper EP, Raining Plague EP, and Dark and Demise EP, all of that 4 bundle is the big popular thing that people like to buy. When they buy a CD, they buy all 4 of them, yep. Which is pretty cool.
Especially I'm looking at the website prices there, especially 4 CDs for that price. Come on. You got to buy them all.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's like candy. You can't just have one. You got to have them all.
Yeah, and people like that. It's pretty cool. I just actually got an order today, which is pretty cool. Someone bought it. I was like, shit, right on.
There you go.
And it feels good. Anytime someone pulls out their credit card and buy something off my website, that's pretty cool because, you can go online and listen to anything for free. And so for someone to actually pay for it means a lot to me. So, it's cool, man. And as you see, there's lots of cool stuff. And if anybody listening wants to support this project, it's much appreciated. There's all kinds of cool stuff to choose from, hoodies, T-shirts. I'm going to be running a special here. The black T-shirts that you see with just the black shirts with the red logo, I'm going to be running a special on those. That'll be advertised up on the website probably by next week. I'm going to be doing 50% off on those. So anybody wants to buy that, it'll be available on the website. And it'll be like half off. including shipping. I don't know what they are right now, but whatever it is, it's going to be 50% off that.
Well, there you go. Well, I have taken up a lot of your time this afternoon. Is there anything you would like to finally say to our listeners about Beltfed Weapon, about your music coming up that we haven't discussed?
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's been involved with Beltfed Weapon from day one, and it's been a great experience watching myself keep going and not giving up and growing and just striving to be better. And I appreciate everybody who's supported Beltfed Weapon, who has bought merchandise, came to shows, and helped spread the word. And I'm definitely not going anywhere, so I'm going to keep going. And yeah, and I appreciate you having me on your show as well. And keep your eye out for the next song. It's going to be pretty special. I'm looking forward to releasing that. And yeah. And if you have any more questions, I'm open too. I'm having a great time talking about this. I love doing interviews, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I would, but I am just about 20 minutes from my live show. And
Okay.
We're going to be going into that. And it's a little bit mellower than Beltfed Weapon to start off my show, so I don't think it could be cohesive. But anyway, sir,
That's okay.
I want to thank you very much for joining me on the phone today. This is Frank Hetzel from Beltfed Weapon, and their newest release is Tortured Within, featuring Stu Block on vocals. It has been my pleasure, sir. Stay tuned. I'll be with you in just a second after I complete this recording.